Hello and welcome to another episode of the Untold. I'm your host Abdullah Al-Hindiani, and for today's episode, we are going to be joined by Amal AlBahar, who's a fitness coach and kickboxing instructor. She's going to be talking to us about her journey, her story, how she got into this field, and probably give some health advice to our audiences. So, with that in mind, stay tuned and we'll take a quick break and we'll come right back. And we're back. We're joined by Amal AlBahar, who's a fitness instructor, kickboxing coach, and I do want to welcome you first on joining us for the Untold.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I think for a lot of our guests on the Untold, we always like to go for the beginning, right? I'd like to ask you about Amal before all of this.
Well, I'm someone who loves life. I love to explore different things. I love to explore the world through movement, whether it be hiking, things of that nature, trying new sports, trying new
Yeah,
types of, exercise and all of that. I think I approach the world through a curious mind.
yeah. To always be in motion, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're one of those people, because I know a lot of people, my friends who are active, they are like, okay, if I stay in my one place, I'm gonna wither.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm since I was young, I've always been someone who just likes to move around. I can't can't
yeah,
stay still.
yeah. And also,
Yeah,
that's a good thing, right?
I guess so. I mean, it has its pros and cons,
Yeah,
but definitely more pros than cons.
yeah.
Mm.
And speaking of the good about it, because obviously you're into fitness and you're also a kickboxing instructor. So talk us through that. How did you get into those two?
Okay, so I have always been interested in boxing
Okay.
and kickboxing. I didn't know kickboxing when I was young. I knew more boxing, like
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali and all of that. I grew up in a house full of girls, so I didn't really have that, any
Oh,
brothers to
yeah.
really show me the boxing
There's no
world.
fighting.
I mean, there was on
I
my
mean,
side.
I mean, punch. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
play fighting, not
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
But I mean, again, I didn't think that was something that I can
yeah.
actually explore. I actually went to my first kickboxing class right after I graduated university. I moved back home, and I discovered this coach, this female coach who was teaching kickboxing, and I decided to try. And that's from that first class, I knew that this is something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Oh,
Mm.
so what about that class in specific that kind of, kicked in motion all of this?
So it's just learning how to move my body, like the punching, the kicking,
Okay.
and the twisting. It's not just, it's a very it- it's a very whole body movement, and
Yeah.
it's mental as much as it is physical.
Yeah.
And I love that challenge to try to get that kick right, to try to get that form of the stance and the punches and all of that. It was something, just seeing what my body's capable of doing
Oh,
just gave me that
it's like, the science behind the art is kind of what got you into this.
exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, like what you said, it is an art form.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a physical art form, and it just encompassed everything that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I like that you emphasized the idea that it also required some kind of mental prowess. Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I mean, you can definitely get into boxing, kickboxing, uh, you know, uh, just to release some stress,
Yeah.
but you can't stay there. It's actually it's like a meditative practice. You need to be mindful, and you can't let emotions get in the way. You can hurt yourself if you do.
Oh.
So it forces you to be in the moment and forces you to be in your body and to let go of any frustrations that you're holding on to. So yeah, it is just as much a mental game as it is a physical
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people who get into, combat sports, they get into it because they say we have a lot of, angry emotions, and if we don't take it out on these exercises,
Yeah.
some bad stuff can happen in the real world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's it is a stress reliever, but you cannot be angry while doing it.
Yeah.
So you are releasing that emotion through the physical means,
Oh,
but you cannot stay in that state. So allows that emotion to run through you and just leave.
yeah.
So it's not like, oh, I'm angry, I'm just gonna punch. It's
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
yeah,
you,
yeah.
it actually. In the beginning, it might be okay, but at some point, it's going to be counterintuitive and actually might be more hurtful than it is
Oh,
beneficial. Yeah.
yeah, this kind of reminds me because I follow, combat sport, and I know that for a lot of people, they say don't go into a fight angry because it's going to cloud your judgment. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where you're going with.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it's more about control, learning you're not having the emotion control you, but
Yeah.
you controlling the emotion. So you it's when to amp it up and when to tone it down.
Yeah.
It's just, again, it forces you to be mindful and being in your body and not let any outside factors impact your next move.
Yeah, it's basically like you're saying it's a remote control, right? You're having complete control over your body, its functions, your mindset, and how you're dealing with it.
Exactly, it is exactly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why at times it gets very challenging.
Oh, so let's divert into those challenges.
Okay.
How do you deal with the challenges whenever it comes to kickboxing and this kind of sport?
Okay, so I'm someone who has perfectionist tendencies,
Oh, okay.
and you cannot hold on to perfection tendencies when you're practicing it as a sport. As a fitness, I guess you can get away with it
Yeah.
sometimes, but when you're practicing it as a sport, you can't let that get in the way. Allowing yourself to make mistakes and learn, and just through repetitive movement, rather than trying to get that one movement right, doing it 100 times to get you towards your body learning that movement.
Yeah.
So that's something that I had to learn, and I see it as I see that this thing, like being in your body and letting go of that perfection tendencies,
Yeah.
it translates into other parts of my life. So mastering it in one area, actually, even in like during work or doing anything business
It kind of
related or family
spills
related.
into that.
Exactly, especially for me when I'm coaching, I cannot hold on to my perfectionist tendencies, 'cause
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
dealing with a human being with their own challenges, so I need to be in tune with them.
Yeah.
So learning to be in tune with myself allows me to also translate that to other
Yeah.
areas of my life.
And I do love how you brought in the fact, it kind of requires patience because you're doing the same kind of movement until it basically becomes muscle memory.
Exactly. It is all about it is so learning foundation movements. I
Yeah.
think going back to the foundational roots, like basic boxing moves, basic punches, basic kicks, rather than getting all fancy with it. I think that's the root of the sport, and I think that I can also say that's the root of any fitness fitness exercise, like getting back to the foundation.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of my, I wouldn't say a lot of my friends, but acquaintances who have tried to get into boxing, because I don't think I know anyone into kickboxing who've tried to go into kickboxing. They leave after a few weeks because they don't have the patience. They're like, oh, we're doing the same routine day after day. I'm like, that's the sport.
Yeah, so it does teach you patience.
Yeah.
I think being patient with yourself and trusting the process, and it requires a higher level of commitment.
Yeah.
Because it's not something you can learn the same movement for a whole month, but like a month after, it will just click for you, and it's like, oh, okay, that's what the coach meant when he said this and this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when they say turn your hips. Okay, now I understand. But it required you repeating that movement for a period of time for you to finally for it to finally click in your body.
Yeah.
So the mind knows it before the body, and I think that's where most of the frustration come from.
Yeah. Honestly, subhanallah, like the human body is such an amazing, body, right?
Yes.
Because all of the different mechanisms that come into play, like you said, doing the same kind of thing, and then suddenly it clicks.
Yeah.
Oh, this is how it should be like.
Yeah. And I think what I've learned, and this is I think the incentive for me to keep going, once it clicks, it doesn't go away. It's
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. It becomes very easy for you.
Yeah.
It becomes second nature to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you get there, your first light bulb moment, it just, for me at least, it was an addictive feeling, and I just want to keep doing it and getting more light bulb moments, you know? So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with this sport.
And speaking of, I imagine that's the adrenaline rush.
Mm-hmm.
And after being, I'd say, an expert in this kind of field, do you still have those those same kind of jitters and feelings about it, or is now monotone right now?
No, I definitely have the same. I mean, I think I'll always have to deal with frustrations and reminding myself to be patient with myself. I just have. I just don't stay in that space as long as I used to.
Yeah.
And I learned I have more tools under my belt to get me through those phases quickly.
Yeah.
And just, like I said, be in the moment.
Be in the moment, yeah. And speaking of those phases, what kind of mindset and habits do you take with yourself into all of those, coaching sessions and everything?
Okay. You mean me as a coach, or me as like someone who practices the sport, or me coaching?
I mean, we can go for both answers, right? Because I'd imagine those require two kind of personalities, right? We have Amal, the coach, and then we have Amal, who's the, with herself doing this kind of sport.
Yeah, I guess they are different personalities, but they are similar.
Yeah.
In that, so one mindset that I remind myself, and that I also teach, is, I know I'm repeating myself, but really being patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Not letting your ego get in the way. Sometimes we, especially when we see our bodies being capable of doing more and more things, we want to take that extra weight. We want to go faster. You want to do all of that, but we need to be mindful of what our body is able to do. And today, you could be tired, you could be hungry, maybe your body's not able to give you 100%. When you let ego get in the way, you actually get in the way of your own progress. And it might even lead to injuries, and it may delay your progress. I think being in tune with yourself and being mindful with every movement, it actually, slowing down actually takes you a lot further than trying to speed up and skip steps.
It's basically listening to your body.
Exactly, it is, and it's harder. It's easier said than done. It's hard to put in practice, because sometimes you're in the moment and you just want to flow, and you just want to I just want to start pushing weights and all of that, and it's okay to do that safely. And what I mean by that, if you have that foundation part down, so if you know the basic of the movements, you know how to control your body, is able to do it at that moment, then it's okay to push. But it's being in tune, learning when you can push further, and when to take a step back. Exactly. And this is something I take in my own practice, with my own fitness journey, and in coaching.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, they think of taking a step back is counterintuitive. But I know I said earlier that I do follow combat sport. I know of a fighter called Justin Gaethje. He once, was having a very rough time in his career. And then he started having wins after wins after wins. So when they give him an interview, he said, "What changed?" And then he said, "I stopped working so hard before our fights. Like 2 weeks before the fight, I took very light training sessions, and then I go." And that, for a lot of people, they're afraid that, oh, if I don't work now, I'm going to lose all of what I had. I'm going to lose this kind of movement. I'm going to lose. But sometimes rest is progress.
100%. You nailed it. Yes. So rest is something that I had to learn the hard way. Rest, mental and physical rest, is just as important as the work you put in your fitness journey, or in whatever physical movement or combat sport that you want to delve into. And that's the thing. This is what I meant by not letting your ego get in the way. We live in a very fast-paced world, and being fast-paced is constantly being rewarded. Like, oh, good job, keep going, blah, 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 all of that. And you have so many people, so many voices, so many messages around you that are telling you to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep hustling. But no, there's not many that tell you to take a step back.
Yeah. Just sit
And,
back and let the
yeah,
time go.
exactly. Rest. You need to recover. You need to recharge mentally, physically, whatever it is. You need to take that step back.
Yeah.
Actually, there was the story of when I first started kickboxing,
Okay.
and I was actually getting ready for my first ever competition.
Oh, okay.
And I would literally, I would like probably work out 6 days a week, almost seven. On that seventh day, I was constantly doing something. If it wasn't strength training for the competition, it was kickboxing training. If it wasn't kickboxing, it was this. It was always something. And I remember my coach literally forced me to take 2 weeks off.
Oh, 2 weeks off.
2 weeks off. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I was
Yeah.
like, why 2 weeks? I have a competition. I have this. But after taking those 2 weeks off, it came back faster. My body was able to catch the movement faster. I was able to throw my punches harder. I was more focused, and I think that was the turning point for me.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay, so taking a step back and having that rest that I needed, it actually made me go further. And that's why I started incorporating that in my fitness journey after that,
Yeah.
really reminding myself to, relax,
Relax.
take a day off,
Yeah.
come back tomorrow,
Yeah, I think I read something about this, or I've seen a video about it or something, and I know I'm gonna butcher this name, and a lot of doctors are gonna be angry at me. But I believe there's a system in the human body, maybe it's called the CNS system or something like that, where if you're training hard, it kind of, adds up over time. And then if you don't have rest, it's gonna lead to, even injury or something more harmful. So rest is taken into account.
Yeah, I think there is I think there's a threshold. So you get to a point where you can work out, but once you get past that peak point, everything else it actually becomes ineffective.
Oh, okay.
So you can work out, put in the work, and just get to that point.
Diminishing returns.
Exactly,
Yeah.
diminishing returns. So it's just, if you overdo it, that's just, you won't see any results.
Yeah.
So it's finding that sweet spot between pushing yourself and just
having a rest.
having rest.
Going on a break.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of breaks,
Yes.
we do have to take a very quick break, and we'll come right back. And we are back with Amal AlBahar, who's a kickboxing instructor, fitness coach, mashallah. On the first part of this episode, we've talked all about, I think we went into the mental aspect of kickboxing. So now let's go back to the physical part of it. What kind of thing that keeps you coming back to kickboxing, even during the hardest of times?
I think it surprised me every time.
Okay.
So there are times where I'm not having good session, and there are times where I'm like, oh, I actually finally nailed that movement that I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm able to kick higher than I used to. I'm able to transfer that power, to my kicks, to my punches. I think the thing that keeps me coming back to the sport, there is no one way to do it, and there's always something to learn about it.
Yeah.
There's always a new form, new way, new technique that I can
Implement.
implement on myself, and also teach.
Yeah.
Like I think the more that I practice it, the more I'm able to coach.
And speaking of movements and stuff, is there a specific workout that is by far your favorite?
Okay, so I love any ab exercises.
Ab exercise.
Yeah.
Well,
I think anyone who I've coached
Yeah.
will say this. Like, Coach Amal loves abs. she loves those core movements. I love challenging my core through planks, through things like that. any rotation exercise. I love
Oh,
that. I
okay.
just yeah.
And let's debunk a myth right now.
Mhm.
Because, I think for a lot of people like me and our viewers who know about boxing, kickboxing from probably just watching Rocky,
Yeah.
are ab exercises like, are it still the punching the abs, or is that, just myth where you try to tighten the
Oh,
ab and then
this
just
is a
punching?
controversial.
Oh, okay.
This is a controversial topic, at least in my opinion. I guess it depends what your goal is. What is your
Okay.
goal? If you're doing it for fitness, it's fine.
So there are
You don't
people
need
that do this kind of exercise?
the punching the abs.
Yeah.
Yes, there are. There
Okay.
are. I think it's for those who are getting ready for fights, and I think it's just to condition the body to take those hits.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fine line it's a fine line between conditioning to actually damaging.
Oh, okay.
So I
Yeah.
think it's just that's why I'm saying it's a bit controversial.
Yeah.
In that aspect, some coaches go overboard, and I I can't really speak much about it because I don't do competitions anymore, but I know it's a conditioning exercise for competitions.
Yeah.
If you're not competing, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, for someone like me who is not on, obviously I don't compete, I don't
Yeah.
play boxing, but for I don't know, it just looks silly,
It's
honestly.
yeah, I guess every movement it depends on the goal.
Yeah.
If your goal is just to just practice that sport and for fitness reasons or for fun,
Yeah.
that's not necessary. If you're getting ready for a competition, that's just
Yeah.
something else. And
Yeah. And,
I think there's more
there's
to
more
it.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just talking about the Rocky scenes. Those
Oh yeah.
those are the
Yeah,
very
well, I mean,
where
he's getting punched over and over,
yeah,
so I
and
guess
he's chasing chickens and stuff. I was like, who, we were kids, we were watching this, loving them, but as adults watching them, it's like,
Yeah.
really, we believe that?
Yeah.
So there's that one. And I want to segue our interview to talk about something I think a little bit more, maybe sensitive during this kind of conversation, is that for such a male-dominated sport, boxing, kickboxing, judo, all kind of combat sport, how has your role as a woman, affected by it?
I think so. I think we're lucky that right now there's more opportunity for women to get into the sport.
Yeah.
But there's definitely hurdles along the way, especially if you're gonna go through the competition road. As for fitness, it's more readily available than before. But when I first started, it wasn't as common. I think I started back in 2016. I think
Okay.
that was my first introduction
mashallah.
to kickboxing, and I think it had at that time it had just started growing in popularity. And I think back then the obstacles would be not finding enough coaches or places for me to practice that sport.
Yeah.
Whereas now I think it's more common than it is before. So yeah, I guess
So that has become a little bit easier, I would say.
it has become
Yeah.
a little bit easier, especially in the fitness world. However, in the competitions, the obstacles are still there. Trying to find a sponsor, trying to find someone
Oh, yeah.
who like trying to find you're in competitions. But like I said, there are a lot more opportunities now, and there's a lot of fantastic female fighters that have paved the way for women in this sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking about the sport in general, because it requires so much, physical and mental fortitude, how do you balance all of this?
I think waiting for motivation is, I would say the biggest myth.
Yeah.
You can't always be excited to do a workout. Sometimes you just need to commit. There are some days you really don't want to do it, and there's some days you feel pumped doing this.
Yeah.
Whether it be exercising, whether it be kickboxing, whatever it is, anything that you're doing to invest in your physical health is something that you need to be committed to, regardless of how you feel in that moment. So there are times where I just don't feel like it. I really don't want to work out. I really don't want to do kickboxing. I'm not in the mood for it. But I do it because it's I guess it's a form of self-love.
Oh, okay.
And I know that it's going to benefit me in the long run.
Yeah.
However, with that being said, you need to also know how to differentiate between I really need to rest today,
Oh, yeah.
between that and no, I need to push myself a
Yeah.
little
Yeah,
bit
like
more.
we said, listen to your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you did mention you got to have some commitment to it.
Yeah.
As your role as an instructor and as a coach, what is something you found, especially to students, that makes it hard for them to commit to this kind of sport?
I think it's about being patient with themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of people who do stop are not patient and they have not really committed. This is why I try to allow them to slow down and show them that there's little wins along the way to keep them
Yeah.
motivated. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a problem that a lot of people find difficult with so many new people in all sort of field. They want, the results now.
Yes.
They don't have the patience to wait for it, later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this can also go into our last question, is that for, especially young kids who are watching, what do you have to tell them who want to get into this kind of, field?
It's you don't have to go to a class or go anywhere. I think we are so lucky to live in the age of technology.
Yeah.
It's just right there. So we have a lot of, information on internet, YouTube, whatever. I think just starting out and just trying it out, even at home, is enough for now. Like until you get to whatever coach that will allow you to explore this sport further. I think it's such a low barrier sport to get into.
Yeah.
And anyone can start at any age.
Yeah, because I mean, realistically, you only need your body, right?
Exactly.
And fortunately, we all have our bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do want to thank you for sitting down with
Thank
us,
you so
Amal
much for
Bahar.
having
Yeah.
me.
Thank you. This was really lovely. And again, thank you for being on the Untold.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank
I've
you.
had a pleasant time.
Thank you. And I'm very thankful that you've had a pleasant time. But unfortunately, that was all of the time we've had on this segment. We'll go on a break and we'll come right back. Unfortunately, that was all of the time we've had on The Untold. Another great episode. I do want to highlight the idea and the fact that Amal kept bringing the mental aspect of this sport into the equation. I think a lot of people forget that for such a taxing combat sport, you have to have discipline, patience, and the commitment for it. So I do want to applaud her for mentioning that and emphasizing it. Unfortunately, that was all of the time we've had on The Untold. And until next time, goodbye for now.